Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut out stamped images using your Brother ScanNCut SDX125. The stamp set we'll be using is by Stampin Up. It's called Back on Your Feet. It's a cute whimsical set and it's great for just giving people a pick-me-up. It's great for get well cards, and I'm even going to show you toward the end of this video how this is so versatile that it can even be used with other stamp sets. Let's get started. When you see a stamp set like this, you have to enclose the lines. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to show you. You see how this little branch is not enclosed? If you were to try to scan this sloth, it would not scan because this part is open. It would not outline correctly. Also with the turtle, you need to outline the little eyebrows, because if not, these will not be part of this image because it's not a continuous image. Okay, furthermore, at the bottom of each of these images, the turtle and the giraffe, you have little lines that are not connected. Okay, so I'm going to show you the pencil trick that I use whenever I have stamps like this to make sure that I get the best image possible. All right, let's start with the sloth because it's the easiest one to fix. All you need to do for an image like that is to take your pencil and enclose the branch. That's it. Now I have one continuous outline around the entire image. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to enclose the sloth, the branch. Okay, there we go. Now for the giraffe, okay, we're just going to take it and I'm just going to go around the outside. Okay, now it's not going to cut out unless I was to use some white to like a chalk pen or something, it could then get in and cut out inside the lines. I mean, inside the legs. But in this case, I'm going to cut around the entire giraffe, including the little part about below the giraffe. Okay, so let's just go around it like that. Now we have one continuous image, and you don't have to worry about the middle at all that way. If you were to worry about the middle, you could cut it out, but you just have to make a gap here using some kind of white marker. And I actually don't mind the little part in the middle. It actually looks cute. I mean, these came out so cute. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how easy these are to cut out. Okay, so I enclosed that one fully around. Okay, good. Now for this turtle, we have to do two things. We have to go around the bottom, just like I did with the giraffe. And by the way, I'll show you how to erase these. I don't ever use the eraser, this kind of eraser, the pink eraser. Use a white eraser. Like I have a Pentel eraser, I can show you that. And that will leave no marks. And you can't even tell I did this pencil trick. Okay, there you go. And then now around the eyebrows, you just kind of do something like this, depending on how you want them to come out. Maybe like that, or it'll make a little hump around them. Okay, that's one way. And then the other way I did is just touch them directly like this. I did it both ways. This way sort of worked a little better, just touching them. Because then it didn't make as big of a gap around the head. Okay, even so, we may not get 100% success rate, but you never know. Because, you know, I may not have done a perfect job with those lines. All right, so I've been resticking my mat. That's another whole tutorial. The reason I'm not unloading it, and honestly, I'm always keeping it real here. That's what I do with my viewers, is today I did a Brother ScanNCut update. And then after that, I couldn't load my mat. It took me about 20 times to load my mat. And now that I have it loaded, I do not want to unload this mat again. So I'm just gonna, I've already put the paper onto the mat that way. Okay, so my mat's sticky because I restuck it recently, but but the mat's not loading correctly. And the way I knew I needed to do an update, just so you know, and you probably all need to do your updates as well. And I don't want to scare you because your mat will probably load perfectly after your update. It's just each machine has a mind of its own. But I saw here, like when I turned on my machine, it said update available. And I clicked on it and it took a very long time. And then it updated and then my mat's not loading correctly. But so be it. We're going to move on. We're crafters. The show must go on. Okay, so we turn on the machine and you're going to see pattern and scan. Okay, so you always say scan if you want to scan stamped images. I'm going to directly cut out these images. So I'm going to go to direct cut. This option is if you want to save the images, but we want to directly cut them. We're not saving them. This is just asking where we want to temporarily store the data. I always select my machine because it's easier, and to store it here, you'd have to be connected with your wireless network. So I'm always just storing it on my machine temporarily, and it's not actually going to actually store them in any place you can see them. It's more of a memory thing. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Because you saw I only have 6 stamped images. Okay, by the way, prior to this tutorial, I wanted them to dry, so I stamped these 2 drafts, because I always do a couple at a time, and in case one messes up, we always have one that I can show you. 2 turtles and 2 sloths. I did that using Memento black ink. I used Whisper white cardstock. All of my instructions will be in my description of this video, what I used. Okay, so I did that ahead of time, black ink, and I put them on toward the top of the mat. So I'm going to use a 12x6 scanning area. If you're watching this tutorial and you have a CM350 or a Scan and Cut 2 or another model, you might not have this option. Let me just go in here to the wrench. See, scan area 12x6. I didn't have that option with my other machine. I had to scan the whole page. This saves time when you only need to scan the top of the page. I like that option. That's really nice. Okay. Also, you all have an option of black and white or color recognition mode. Whenever I have images that are this crisp with good, well-defined lines around them, I always just use black and white recognition mode because it's easier. Okay, so always leave it on black and white. Very rarely do I use color recognition mode. I'm going to go ahead and say start, and it's going to go ahead and scan in the images. And I just want to say something now, that I wanted to thank my subscribers of my channel. Thank you very much. I have reached 11,000 subscribers, and I'm very grateful to all of you for that. So thank you for your support and for watching my channel. And I'm going to keep on doing as many tutorials as I possibly can forever and ever. So thank you. Okay, now back to our tutorial. It looks like it did a good job. Let's see how it did in recognizing. I'm going to say okay. And it did. It did an excellent job. I can see that the animals are all outlined. Okay, and that's great. So you could ignore object size if you saw stray marks, but I used a nice big piece of 12x12 Whisper white. There shouldn't be any stray marks back there. The ignore object size is if you have a bunch of stray marks all over, you would use ignore object size. So we don't need to do anything here. We can just, I mean, you could frame it if you wanted. You could take this and by the way, you should all have a stylus with yours, but mine is missing in action. I'm using my spatula, but really you should be using your stylus, the little tool that came with your machine. So anyway, so here, I'm going to frame in the part I want. We're going to say, I'm going to just go ahead and say preview. And then, say okay. And then the other thing I like to do is I like to always add an outline distance. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like before we cut these out. So I have a turtle here. Here's a turtle that I've cut out, okay? And I personally get asked this all the time. Do you have to add an outline distance? No, of course you don't have to add an outline distance. You can, and this machine will cut straight along the line. It'll cut along the black line. I just like to add an outline distance. That's personal. I do it almost every time. That's my personal preference. If you leave it like this, your machine will cut along the black line. The problem is with that, it's kind of unforgiving. If you cut along the lines, you might kind of mess up the little toenails, those little sloth nails. It might be kind of hard to get all of that to fit in correctly. So I like to add an outline distance. I think it's more forgiving. It adds a little bit of space around the images. I use 0.04, which is the smallest outline distance. We say okay. And that just seems to me to help put a nice little buffer around my images when they cut. And then I don't end up getting little things cut off like the little nails and things. I'm thinking it looks pretty good. I'm going to select cut, and I'm going to just go ahead and start that. It says it's going to take 2 minutes. And sometimes at this point, so I'll tell you a couple more tips and tricks, is if your mat was not very sticky, you could have scanned in your images, and then as they were cutting, right before they were cutting, I mean, you could scan them in and that would have been fine. See, it's already slipping a little. You could have scanned them in and you could have then used a little bit of painter's tape, okay, to hold them in place. So I will see you in 2 minutes where I will cut these out. Okay, my images are almost done cutting, and what I had to do is I had to kind of start over because really my draft got messed up here. So you can see it started slipping. So basically, so what you want to do is you want to tilt your mat, or else just peel this off and then sort of tilt your mat, and then these will come off. Okay, and you can use your little spatula. Okay, so they did a good job for the most part, but then it started slipping because my mats just, I mean, no matter, I've been resticking these. I'm just keeping it real. I have some other methods of resticking that I'm gonna just try out, and I've been using two-way glue. I even bought some new mats that have no stick on them, and I'm gonna try to add the sticky myself. Okay, but I'm happy with how these came out, the ones that didn't slip. Okay, we're gonna now talk about getting the pencil marks off, and then I'm gonna show you the projects I did using these. Okay, but you know, we have our issues with the scan and cut sometimes, but it's still better than cutting them ourselves, isn't it? Right? I'm very happy with how these came out, even if we have to do some work to make it all happen. So now we have these little stamped images, and you take your eraser. So I use this kind of eraser. I got them pretty cheap at the Office Max or something, Office Depot. And you can get them, I'll link to them on Amazon, but they're inexpensive and they don't leave marks. Okay, so erase your little pencil marks before you start doing your coloring. And coloring, I used the alcohol markers, I used the blends, and I'll talk about the colors in my projects. Okay, and that's it. So you just erasing the marks, and then you're left with these perfect little stamped images that you can color, embellish with, I mean, anything you want. So that's what you do. That's how you erase those. Then you start coloring them, and then I'm going to show you what I did with them. So I took them all, I erased the marks. I used alcohol markers that would coordinate with the different designer series papers that I was using. And for example, I used Dino Roar. Dino Roar is my favorite suite, by the way. It's just so whimsical with all these cute little dinosaurs. Well, there's this paper. I used the leaves from this paper in the Dino Roar suite. One of the coordinating colors in that suite was Mango Melody. So that's what I used for the draft. And then that was the outer part of the draft. And then the inside of the draft for this one, I used Crumb Cake for the spots. And then this was the Pretty Label punch, but I didn't actually use the whole part of the punch. But that's how I got the sentiment. And a coordinating color for the sentiment went with this, and that is Old Olive. Okay, so these are just little note cards. That's all they are, Stampin' Up little note cards. Okay, next project, again, this is Dino Roar Designer Series paper. There's the Pretty Label punch. There's the whole Pretty Label punch. And see how I got those little eyebrows. Hope you're back on your feet again soon. I love the little turtle. And there's a little bit of Pool Party under there for the little bit of puddle that the turtle's in. And this is Old Olive. Our alcohol markers come in light and dark. So I used the dark and light Old Olive, and then Crumb Cake in the middle for his little belly, the turtle's little belly. And by the way, I did the envelopes as well. Hope things get better soon. Ouch. Hope you're back on your feet soon. Okay, so you can put something on the little envelopes on the cards and the envelopes. And then here's another one I did. So this is, again, just cutting out stamped images. I used the dark and light Crumb Cake. And I was trying to tie in the other colors of this suite. So for this paper this is Pool Party. So I put the bandage in Pool Party. And I put a little face of the sloth in Pool Party color. And then Crumb Cake. And these are Old Olive little leaves. And then that's part of the Pretty Label punch as well. Okay, I'm always trying to tie in the colors of whatever designer series paper I'm using. Okay, and then this is stamped in Pretty Peacock was one of the colors. So I used this as Old Olive, Pretty Peacock for these sentiments there. All right, and I have those to show you, just the Old Olive, like these are the colors I mainly used for those projects. And then I did some Mossy Meadow stamping as well in a minute. All right, so then this is still like, but along the same lines of this color combination, I did this one here. I used embossing folders for this one. And the embossing folder I used, and I have an item number here. I'll link to these in case you want to get any of these from my store. In fact, all of the stuff I'm showing you is available in our annual catalog. Okay, so it's called Layered Leaves 3D. And then I used the leaf punch, and I love the leaf punch. I've been using it for a lot of fall projects. And then I took this little crumb cake, these little shapes from my last paper pumpkin kit I had, and these were in crumb cake already, and stamped them in Old Olive. Again, the Bandage and Pool Party, crumb cake, Mango Melody. And the reason I used Mango Melody and then the crumb cake again was because these colors coordinated with the Dino Roar suite, so I knew that they coordinated with this one as well. And then I just let's see. I had to put a little sticker there when I was taking a picture of this because it wouldn't shut all the way. Yeah, there you go. Sometimes that's all there is to say, and that I'm here for you. Okay, so that's how I embellished that one with the Layered Leaves textured embossing folder. So that is oh, by the way, this is Pool Party. This is Pool Party, and this card here is Pretty Peacock. That's the color, Pretty Peacock. All right, so moving right along. I decided, I was looking at these stamps and I said, these are so adorable, you know, back on your feet. And when I first took out the stamp set to play with it, I said, there's like, it could go along with so many other stamp sets. This is so versatile. These animals are so cute. So this is what I came up with. Because sometimes you just want to give people hope and you want to give them a card and you want to cheer them up. So I thought this stamp set is perfect for this kind of, that goes along with these animals. So I thought of this sloth and how it looks like he's holding on to the branch. So I thought, hold on to hope for the sloth. And then I used this little flourish, and then I used this scripture in the inside. Okay, so I took these from the Hold On to Hope stamp set, which is available in our catalog as well. I mean, I'll put it all in the description, all the stamp sets I use. And this is what I came up with for the Hold On to Hope. And I just kept making it busier and busier, but I kind of like all the little branches and leaves and flourishes. But I mean, I started out with very, very simple. I just took a few. This is Mossy Meadow. Okay, I used Mossy Meadow. And then here, that's kind of how I started off. And I really made it a simple card. I had 3 flourishes stamped right onto this Perennial Essence Designer Series paper. So I had 3 flourishes in the back. And then I just threw the sloth onto the card and I put Hold On to Hope. And it was in one, it was a sentiment like all together. And I punched it out, and then I was like, And then I started saying, oh, it'd be fun to have some more leaves. And so I took some Old Olive. This is Old Olive, and this is Mossy Meadow. And then I took these from last month's, or this month's, it's already September, so it's last month's paper pumpkin kit. And I took these little vellum embellishments, and I just started putting them on because they went along with this petal pink Perennial Essence background. And I just started adding sequins, these are from I just added some little rhinestones from the Noble Peacock Suite, and I just came up with this. So, I mean, I hope you don't think it's too busy, but I like it. I'm kind of digging how busy it is because it's supposed to be silly, right? But then it's also supposed to give someone a smile and give them some hope. So then I put this on the inside, and this is again Perennial Essence Designer Series paper, and I use crumb cake for the card base. Okay, and then I have, let's see. My last project, my favorite project, and what I did for this project is I used another stamp set. It's been around for a while. I'm going to put this on the background. This stamp set has been around. It's Colorful Seasons. It's probably been around for a couple years, and it's pretty neat. It's double. It's double. In other words, meaning these are smaller than what you actually see on the inside. When you go into the Colorful Seasons, they're a lot larger. So that Just Breathe. Well, you can see how much larger it is. Here, I've already stamped it. So they're Just Breathe, and I put that in Old Olive. And this is Calypso Coral Card Base. And what I'm using now is I'm using the Bird Ballad Designer Series paper for this one. And it's a very simple card, but it wobbles. And I love wobble springs. I love putting my little things on wobbles. So really, it's the simplest, the easiest of all the cards I made. But it's my favorite because it wobbles. It's 3D. And so there's a little turtle on his back, and it just cracks me up. So anyway, this is little Pool Party puddle, some Old Olive, some smoky slate in the belly. Just Breathe with some enamel dots. These are called glitter enamel dots. And then sometimes that's all there is to say, is that I'm here for you. So I hope you like all these samples of what you can do with the stamped images that you cut out using your Brother Scan and Cut. I thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe to my channel if you're new here. This is The Papered Chef. Bye for now.